Taipei coming in. I can't see the people here.
Mm.
And Maria, she's a leader in one company before, and another leader, good leader, but he's a lecturer in the university, so he cannot be. He wants it to be recorded. He cannot be present.
So we just pushed record.
I think 3 confirmed. Robert is another one from Sydney. I don't know whether he's here because I can't see the attendees.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm guessing he's probably here, but I'm going to do the recording and I'll send you the link right afterwards, okay?
Yeah. So
beautiful.
Thank you everyone for attending. You maybe some of you don't know, I've worked with Randy before, and I really admire him for putting 100% effort in whatever he does, and same with this company. So that's why when Randy told me about the business, I straight away left the other company that I just joined and joined Randy, because it's better. Because I know Randy, he's a $1 million earner, so successful. I think we had about the same lifespan in network marketing.
Yeah.
we are the generation that's going to pass down to our next generation, and AI is the best business. It's meant for the younger generation. We won't be living here in the world forever, right?
Yeah.
So one day we have something, a legacy to pass down to the young people. So it's their time.
Yes, I agree. Susan, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining me. Thank you for the fantastic start, and thank you for allowing us to open this up to other folks. I want to talk about the compensation plan. And as we talk about the comp plan, the first thing I'll describe to each of you is that I will be referring to the compensation plan document. And if I say anything in this discussion that cannot be proven in the comp plan document, then understand the document is where the truth is. So my intent is to only teach that which is in the document. But if I say anything that seems to conflict with the document is right and I am wrong. Okay, so please understand that. My intention is to be right every step of the way. And I view this in a few ways. I think of the business that we're in. You'll often hear me talk about the business as a vehicle. And so this is Leverage AI. Leverage AI is the vehicle that we all occupy right now. We have chosen to occupy a seat on that vehicle. The vehicle has various components. The vehicle has an engine. The engine is the compensation plan. And so we're going to be describing the engine. In my life, I've had sports cars. I've had Lamborghinis and I've had Ferraris. They have very, very powerful engines. But if an engine does not have the right fuel, then the engine cannot work very effectively and efficiently. So the fuel for our engine is the LEV AI product offering, a very, very powerful high octane fuel. If we have a very powerful engine, a compensation plan, and we have high octane fuel, the product, then what we must have also is the right chassis. You could not put a 12-cylinder Lamborghini engine into a tiny little 1974 Fiat or Volkswagen. It wouldn't work. And so what is the chassis? The chassis is the management group. The chassis is the ownership and the management group. And so the chassis, that which holds the engine and which provides the fuel, that is Terry LaCour, that is Blake, that is the management group. So we have an engine, we have a chassis, we have fuel, and what is the next requirement? We have to have an operator. And so that's our part. We can have the most high horsepower engine. We can have the most beautiful, sleek, aerodynamic chassis. We can have the highest octane fuel. And yet, if we don't know how to operate the vehicle is going nowhere. And so in all of my conversations, whenever I talk about any part of this puzzle, I always attempt to include some guidance about how to actually operate the vehicle. But let's move on. We're talking now about how money will be delivered and how money will be distributed in this compensation mechanism. And so by now, each of you, I think, have been on some of these various Zoom presentations that we have done. And so you've heard me describing the various facets of the compensation plan, but let's start here. What is the first facet? The first facet is what is called the acquisition bonus. Acquisition bonus. And what exactly is the acquisition bonus? The acquisition bonus is what is paid when you are the conduit to someone else's use. It's just that simple. When you are the conduit to someone else's use, you receive an acquisition bonus. And what is that acquisition bonus? The acquisition bonus, for the sake of ease, consider the acquisition bonus 50% of the purchase price of the package that one selected. And so we know that at the outset, there will be two product packages. One product package is the basic pack. That will be $49. For the sake of ease in this conversation, let's just call that $50. And so whenever you are the conduit, that means that you introduce someone else to it. You are the one who introduced someone to the business and they said yes. The first thing they will do is spend $19 to do what? $19 to become a member. There is no commission associated with that $19. And then each year, on the 1 year anniversary date, the 2 year anniversary date, the 3 year anniversary date, there will again be $19. There will again not be commission associated with that. So the first thing to know is when one pays their registration fee, that is not commissionable, that does not accrue to our benefit. Then, once one has made that decision, they've joined the company, they spent their $19. Now they're either going to acquire the basic pack or they're going to acquire the pro pack. If they acquire the basic pack, they're going to spend $49. If they acquire the pro pack, they're going to spend $99. Now we know that the acquisition bonus is what? It is 50% of that initial purchase. And so that means that each time someone that you introduce, you are the personal enroller, they acquire the starter pack of $50, you're going to get paid $25. They acquire the pro pack, I'm going to call it 100, then you are going to get paid 50. So that's first. That is simple transaction. I refer to that as transaction income. I have this pen. I sell pens. You buy the pen. I buy it from the company, I sell it to you, and I make a profit. It is a transaction. You get paid for it one time. That's what this is. It is a one-time transaction payout. There's no limit to the number of times one can do that. In my own case, between Samantha and I, we've now personally enrolled 124 people. We don't know which pack those 124 people are going to acquire. Based on my knowledge of most of those people, what their financial objectives are, and so forth, the vast majority of those that we personally enroll will acquire that $99 pack. And so right now, I could take a look at the fact that we've personally enrolled 124 people. I think the vast majority of those 124 will acquire the largest package. Any of you who want the interactive avatar, you'll need to have the larger pack. Any of you who want access to the lead program will need the larger pack. The lead program is why almost everyone will gravitate towards the larger pack. I just kind of anticipate that. And by the way, I might be surprised tomorrow Blake might announce that there is a smaller number of leads available with the smaller pack as well. But as of right now, I'm not aware of that. And so I'm pretty comfortable saying that almost all of our enrollments will do this. And so that means 124 times we've earned $50. And so that's basically $6,000 that we will be paid immediately in acquisition bonus. Now, whenever I talk about my own result, I'm hoping that you're not hearing me say, look what I have done. Who cares? I hope you hear me saying, look what you can do. Over the last 21 days, when a person was able to say yes without having to fund the yes, they could say yes, they could fill out the online application, they didn't have to pay for it. There's no question that was easier and that I have more applications than I would have if a person had had to pay at that moment. That is why now I talk about the operation of the vehicle. We have now, today's September 2nd. I am quite certain that no later than the 15th of September, this company will be fully operational, maybe by the 10th. But I'm virtually certain that by the 15th, that will be the truth. And so now we have a maximum of 13 days. These are 13 days that are of immeasurable value. Why? Because it is easier in those 13 days to gather a team of people when they don't have to fund the yes. A person can act upon your information today. They can become a member. They can have candidates on tomorrow's Zooms. They can pay for their yes with someone else's yes. But going back to the comp plan, we have a 20% a 50% acquisition bonus. That will be 50% of 49 or 50% of 99, and that will occur as many times as you choose to do that. There is no end to it. And then let's contemplate what is required to achieve a rank, and then we'll contemplate why does it matter to achieve a rank. Okay, we build this block of volume. People always think of our industry as being pyramid shaped, and I understand that because that's the shape of any organizational structure. But what we really do is build a block of volume. It really is, it's a square more than it is a pyramid. And on this first generation, so we start up here, we have a candidate, and you introduce the candidate to the concept. The candidate selects one of these packages. When you are the personal enroller, now that person occupies a spot on your first generation. Now, there's no limitation to how many people you may choose to have on your first generation. You can have as many as you want. People like me, who my career has been about building organizations in depth. I love the multiplier. I love the leverage of what occurs in volume. This compensation plan, however, is designed to meet people where they are. In today's world, we've seen a change. We've seen a very meaningful shift in the direct selling industry. Susan mentioned that it's about the youth, it's about another generation. And way more of that generation is more interested in simply getting paid for their own productivity. They're not as interested in building teams, developing organizations of depth. Therefore, there will be plenty of people. Maybe it's because they have unusual influence. I have a friend in my life. Her name is Julianne. Julianne was a nanny for our family when she was 12 or 13 years old. She went on to co-star in a movie with Tom Cruise, and she and her partner won the competition Dancing with the Stars. Today, she has more than 25 million Instagram followers. Those 25 million Instagram followers are all going to use AI. All of them are. That's just the truth. Just like they all use the internet, just like they all use computers, all 25 million are going to use AI. In Julianne's case, it would be foolish for her, or maybe there'd be some logic, some strategy, but up here on generation one, no matter how many people there are, you're going to earn 20%. 20% of what? 20% of the ongoing subscription. So in month number one, we earn 50% of the enrollment package. On all future months on generation one, we earn 20% of whatever the subscription is. And so if one acquires the basic pack, then we know their ongoing monthly subscription is $49. Anyone that you hold on your first generation, you're going to get paid 20% of $49 times however many of them there are. Those who purchase the larger pack, you're going to get paid 20% of $99 for every month that they continue their subscription. And we will do our very best to make that become permanent. So in the compensation plan, in order to maximize the plan, we must have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 legs. Okay, we must have this. We can have this if we want. We can. Now, in my own case, my business building strategy, I am not an influencer. I don't have countless people who will just buy a product because of who I am. My strategy will remain an organizational building strategy of building in depth. However, if I meet someone who has influence and who is not interested in building teams, but just wants to be a conduit to a lot of people's use of AI, then I will counsel them to keep many people on generation one. Because why should they not earn 20%? Because as soon as it goes to generation two, it changes to 4%. So this is a very large, outsized payment. Never in my career have I been involved in a compensation plan that paid 20% on generation one. Never. It's always been 5%, 4%, never more. I've never earned more than 5%. I've never earned more than 5% on generation one. Here it's 20%, 4 times greater. That to recognize the changing environment, to recognize that many people will not build teams, but many people will simply be a conduit to other people's use as a customer. That's a wonderful thing. Remember, what is our logic? Our logic is that up until now, those of us who have been in the direct selling industry, we've been talking to a tiny segment of society, 3, 4, 5% who have embraced direct selling. Now, Susan, it's different. In Sydney, there are 4 or 5 million people. All 4 or 5 million of those people will use AI. There'll never be more than 3 or 4 or 5% of them who are in network marketing, but all of them will use AI. And so you see the 3 or 4 or 5% who embrace network marketing, they will build in depth. All of those who simply use, they would be held on the first generation of a smart person to get that outsized payment. So step number 1, enroll. That's a $19 cost. There's no commission associated with it. Step number 2, determine which package is appropriate for you. For the vast majority of participants, the appropriate package will be $99. Now, that being said, if what is right for the next person is $49, that's what I want them to have. Anyone that you personally enroll, you can choose to hold them on your first generation, or you can choose to place them deeper in depth. To maximize the compensation plan, we must each have 5 valid legs. And so I would counsel each to have at least 5 first generation. In my own case, as you know, we have not done placements yet. Samantha and I have personally enrolled 124 people. It's not my vision that we will have more than 5 legs. I don't have one of those influencers that I'm describing. And so we've enrolled 124. 119 of those will be placed down line of the 5 that we selected as our first generation. And so strategically, enroll, 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 and remove the barrier. Remove whatever barrier is in your mind. Let's say, for example, that you've been a new skin distributor. Enrolling 6 people in new skin is a pretty significant thing. That's hard. It's not easy. Enrolling 60 people in this is a whole lot easier than enrolling 6 in new skin. That's the truth. And so when I talk about the possibility of having a whole lot of people on Gen 1, remember, we're not talking about those 3% or 4% of people who have embraced direct selling. We're talking about that 100% of society who will be required to adopt AI. Okay, so now we take the next step. We want to grow in rank. Why do we want to grow in rank? Because we have an 8th generation unilevel, and one gets paid in increasing numbers and increasing depth based upon your rank. And so what does it take to achieve a rank? Well, the first rank is called a lead partner. And forgive me, I'm reading it because I don't want to make any mistakes. And as you know, by definition, this is new to me too. And so the first rank is called a lead partner. And what does it take to be a lead partner? It simply means that you have got 2 active members. You personally enrolled 2 people, and that there is $250 in volume in a month. Very, very small. A very small, and I don't want to say insignificant because every rank is significant, every success is meaningful, but a very, very small requirement. And so if we have 2 personally enrolled members, oops, I'm going to just click mute there, boom, boom. I'm just going to click mute. There we go. And so if we have 2 personally enrolled members and we have an aggregate of $250 in volume, then we will get paid here. We must have 2 personally enrolled members and they must do $250 in volume to get paid here on Gen 1. If we want to get paid on Generation 2, we want to come down here. And by the way, I'll illustrate for you, perhaps not today, we'll see how time goes, but I'll illustrate something called the power of the multiplier. And the way that duplication has always worked, and I believe that it will be supplanted here because of the ease, because of all that we talk about. But what I've typically found is that in a normal environment not being a straight up vertical thrust like we're experiencing right now. I mean, we've gone from 0 to 17,000 participants in 20 days. That's a straight up vertical thrust. And I don't know how long that will continue. I won't be surprised if it continues for a while, because we're not just limited to this tiny number of people who have embraced direct selling. But typically, when it's not a straight up vertical thrust, when it's a more gradual growth, it typically takes about a year for you to have twice as many people on Gen 2 as you had on Gen 1. So usually, if we have 5 people on Gen 1, by the time a year goes by, in a normal environment, not a dramatic environment, if you have 5 on Gen 1, you'll have 10 on Gen 2. And by the time a year goes by, you'll have 20 on Gen 3 and so on. The slope of growth compresses the amount of time required to make it happen. And so if a company is a low growth, slow growth engine, either on the bottom left-hand corner of the graph or the top right-hand corner of the graph, If it's a low growth, slow growth environment, one can reasonably expect, based upon my 35 years of this, that it will take about a year for each generation to double in size. Well, because each generation is going to double in size, that means being paid on subsequent generations is very, very important. When we have dramatic growth, as we're experiencing right now, then that compresses the amount of time required to make it happen. Today, I mean, we have people who are getting involved in one day and having volume on their 30th generation 2 days later because of the dramatic straight up thrust that we experience. Because volume occurs in depth very quickly, it's important that we get paid on that volume. And so, what are the requirements in order to get paid on Gen 2? So, let's assume you have 5 members on Gen 1 and you have 10 members on Gen 2. To get paid on Generation 2, what will you need to have? You will need to have 2. Now, instead of having only 1 leg, you'll need to have 2. It's called an advanced partner. You still just have 2. No addition in enrollments, but now you're required to do 500 volume points in a month. It's nothing. 500 volume points in a month. Remember, every time you enroll a new person, that creates volume points. It creates 100% of the purchase price of the product. It takes almost nothing to accomplish these. These are ranks that people will race through the very first hour when the company goes live. In order to get paid on the 3rd generation, one now needs to have 3 active members instead of 2 and $1,000 in monthly volume. Remember, over a month, not over a week or over a day. It's very, very small. To get paid, that's to get paid on Generation 3. To get paid on Generation 4, one now needs to have 3-person enrollments, still very small. In addition to those 3-person enrollments, one must have $1,000 in monthly volume. And that continues. To get paid on Generation 5, you must have $2,500 in volume. To get paid on Generation 4, $5,000 in volume. To get paid on I'm missing my generations, I'm sorry. To get paid on Generation 6, one must be an innovator, and to be an innovator means $5,000 in monthly volume, very, very small. To get paid on Generation 7, one must have $10,000 in monthly volume, still only 3 personally enrolled active members. And to go all the way to the top, to maximize the comp plan, one must have $20,000 in monthly volume in each of these legs. When I'm citing these volume figures, it's in each of the legs. And so, in order to get paid on all 8 generations, one will need to have 5 separate legs, and each of those legs must have a minimum of $20,000 in monthly volume. So, think of it this way: the smallest, if you want to live at the top of the plan, then the smallest of the 5 legs must have $20,000. They can all have that number, but you must have 5 legs that in a month do 20,000 or more in volume. Volume is measured by cash. If you have 5 legs that each do 20,000 in volume, that is what makes you eligible to get paid on the entire 8-generation deep block of volume. And what do you get paid on that block of volume? Remember, on Generation 1, we all get paid 20%. Think of that as a sponsoring bonus. You get paid 20% because you bought the person to the party. Now, there's a gentleman named Eli who sent me a message right before this session. And he said, Randy, if I personally enroll someone and I place them down here, because I'm their enroller, will I get 20%? No, you get 20% when it is on Generation 1. If you choose to place them down in the structure, then you'll get paid 4%. Remember, it pays 20% on Gen 1, then 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you get paid 20% on Generation 1. 20% of what? 20% of 49 on an ongoing monthly basis, or 20% of 99 on an ongoing monthly basis. Or if you placed it down in the structure, if you're the enroller, then you'll get 4%. But typically, when we think of this, mostly that will not be people that you enrolled and placed in debt. We know that most people don't enroll a lot. In fact, I saw some figures. The company sent me over a figure a couple of days ago. We have 17,000 people in our business, but the vast majority of people in our business have enrolled 5 or fewer. It's only a tiny handful of people. When Susan said she's enrolled 20 or 25, whatever she said, that's unusual. That's because she is a high producer. She knows what she's doing. She has broad influence. Most people will not enroll a very, very large number. Most will enroll 7 or 8 or 9. They'll enroll the smallest number they need to enroll to have 5 valid legs. That's what the vast majority will do. Most will not have great big first generations. Those of you who have influence understand this. A whole bunch of people on Gen 1 producing 20% in income, this will turbocharge your income like nothing else can. And so in my own business building strategy, what I will do is first make sure that I have 5 legs that are fully qualified to give me access to the entire compensation plan. Then as I continue to enroll, my strategy will be to consider 2 things. Who in my group in depth is trying hard and deserves me to support them with further placement of people that I enroll? I'll honor that. And I'll also consider, is this a person who really is never going to enroll anybody? They just want to use the service? Then I should keep them on generation 1. So I get paid 20% instead of 4. You should do the same thing. Or if it happens to be like my friend Julianne, she could have 10 million subscribers. Well, I would certainly want that to be on my Gen 1 because I'd like that 20% instead of having a much smaller percentage thereof. And so, in order to grow through the compensation plan, what does one do? One gradually grows an increasing number of legs that have minimal volume in them. And so, to be a lead partner getting paid 1 generation deep, you must have 2 personally enrolled members and you must do $250 in volume in 1 leg. You must have 2 legs to be an advanced partner, each one of which do $500 in volume. That gets you the 2nd generation. You must have 3 legs, each with $1,000 in volume to get the 3rd generation. 4 legs with $2,500 in volume to get the 5th generation. 5 legs, excuse me, still 4 legs, $5,000 in volume to get the 6th generation. 5 legs, each with 10,000 in volume to get to the 7th generation. And 5 legs, each with 20,000 or more to get to the 8th generation. And so that now describes, once again, what have we done up until now? A person joins the business, they spend $19, there is no commission associated. They begin enrolling members. The first 5 they enroll certainly will go on generation 1. On generation 1, well, first of all, what do we receive? We receive the direct sales commission when we do the enrollment. We get paid 50% of the package price. They bought a $49 package, you get paid 25. They bought a $99 package, you get paid 50. Now we go to month 2. We go to month 2. And now those same people are here on generation 1. This is no longer a first purchase. It is now an ongoing residual purchase. It is their subscription. Now, for everyone on generation 1, you'll receive 20% ongoing, and it never stops. And so that's the logic and the rationale to hold more people on generation 1, so long as you satisfied the compensation plan. So to maximize this plan, what would you do? You would have 5 valid legs that each have $20,000 or more each month. That would give you access to the entire unilevel. It would give you access to everything that is possible in the infinity payout to come up. And it would also give you all that is possible in the check match. When you fully qualified in the comp plan, having done that in 5 legs, then a smart person, I believe, would begin determining when they should take their next enrollment and place it down line of someone who deserves it, and when you would place them down the line so you're giving more support to that person, and when you would choose to keep them front line so that you can make 20%. And Susan, think about this for a minute. You don't really want all of your people to limit themselves to 5 legs. If they limit themselves to 5 legs, what if you've got a couple of people who may have the ability to enroll 100? If they were to enroll 100 and keep 70 of those on generation 1, then you see that would create a lot bigger income for you than if those were all shuffled down into the plan. And so the simple logic is fully qualify in the comp plan. Once you fully qualify in the comp plan, then consider with each next enrollment whether you should retain them on Gen 1 or put them down into the structure. Okay, the next thing is in the comp plan, I'm going to change the way that this is read because the next thing it shows is the leverage matching bonus. It shouldn't show that yet. It should show the infinity bonus next. Why? Because the infinity bonus is likewise included in the matching bonus. And so now let's talk about that matching. Well, let's talk about infinity first. Let's say for a moment, well, my friend Larry Lane is on here. And Larry, I know, has got people already on his 50th generation, maybe below that. But I know that Larry already has people on his 50th generation. This illustrates the tremendous importance of the infinity payout. And where this came from, by the way, for those of you who would like a little network marketing background, when I first got involved in the industry, pretty much everybody in the world, all network marketing companies, ran what was called a stair-step breakaway program. And in that structure, a person had to maintain group volume, not just individual volume. Here, Susan, all you have to do is worry about your own personal volume. You don't have to do 3 or 4 or 5,000 volume points per month to get paid in depth. In a stair-step breakaway program, each one of these levels would not be individuals doing just their minimums themselves. It would be required group volume. And so a 6th generation payout would hold a lot of volume because each one had to do 3,000 points, 3,000, 3,000, 3,000. That's a lot different than 50, 100, 150, right? Totally different. And so because there's not a burden of requiring people to produce at some high level, very, very, very limited, almost minuscule requirements to get paid in depth. Because that's true, that makes the infinity payout really important. And so here I'll use my friend Larry as an example. So here is Randy's up here, and somewhere down here, I think on about my 3rd generation, that is where Larry is, something like that. And so there is Larry, and Larry already has volume down here on his 50th generation. It would not make Larry happy if he only got paid on this 8 generation block, because I promise you, people on Larry's 50th generation are still asking him for help. That's logical. It's a brand new group. And a true leader, if this is, and Larry, by the way, is a true leader, a properly constructed compensation plan will incent a true leader to continue looking as deep as they have to look until Larry finds the next Larry, until Larry finds the next Susan. And so it will continue to pay like this. And how does it work? Let's assume, in fact, I don't have to assume, I know the first day this company goes live, on that first day, Larry will have 5 legs that each have $20,000 or more in volume on the first day. That's already guaranteed right now. And so because that's true, that means that he has made himself eligible. He's 5, right? He's got 5 legs wide. They each have 20,000. That means he's eligible for a 4% infinity payout. And so the payout beneath Larry was what? 4%. Well, I'm sorry. So this is Larry. So on Gen 1, he was 20, and then 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So right here is where Larry's block of volume would end. And by the way, this is an important thing to note. People think of this as a pyramid. No, it is not. We all get paid on an identical 8 generation block of volume. So my block of 8 generations looks like this. Here's Larry's block. Larry's block includes 3 generations that mine does not. And so we all have an identical 8 generation block. And beneath that block comes our infinity payout. And so in this case, here's Larry. Larry qualifies and will the first day at the top of the plan. And so when it gets to the bottom of his unilevel, it won't stop paying him that 4%. It will just keep paying it because he is eligible for that 4% infinity payout. And it will keep paying him 4% past generation 9, past generation 10, past generation 11. It'll just keep on paying that clear until it gets to the director status. When it intersects the first person down here, what if it has to go 100 generations deep to introduce the first person who becomes a director? Then Larry will keep getting paid that 4% all the way down until it hits this director. Then that director will become eligible for 1%, continuing, and Larry will get 3. When the next rank is achieved, when this gentleman or one further down becomes an innovator, well, now Larry will get 2 and this one will get 2. When further down in the ranks, we find someone who is a visionary. Now this one is getting 3 and Larry is getting 1. So what it does is it essentially extends the block of volume. It guarantees that true leader Larry will be paid to continue to work in depth, clear until he finds true leader Susan or whomever it is. And it guarantees that the legs will not compress together like an accordion, because this one will continue getting paid indefinitely until he reproduces himself in rank in the compensation plan. That is the infinity payout. So where do we start? A new member enrolls, they spend $19, it's not commissionable. They acquire one of the 2 packages. The person who did the enrolling gets paid 50% of the acquisition on an ongoing monthly basis. Anyone you hold on generation 1, you'll be paid 20%. 20% of what? 20% of their subscription value. Then you'll be paid 4% through as many generations as your width qualifier justifies you for. In order to get paid 8 generations deep, one must have 5 legs of 20,000 each. And we described the other requirements to get to the second generation, to the third, and to the fourth. And so one gradually begins hitting higher ranks, hopefully hitting the higher ranks fast enough that volume is not escaping our payout as the volume runs very, very quickly south. That makes it critically important that we all become eligible for the infinity payout, and I've described that. Next, we come to the matching bonus. In my estimation, maybe the most important part, because this is where we're getting paid because other people are getting paid. We're not getting paid because other people spent or tried. We're getting paid because other people are getting paid. And so once a month, we will receive our matching bonus. And what will our matching bonus be inclusive of? Well, in my case, I personally enrolled Susan. That was a lucky day for me. I personally enrolled Susan, and you heard Susan say a moment ago that she has enrolled 20 people. Well, let's assume those 20 people, half of them do 49 and half of them do 99. That means that Susan would have 10 matching bonuses of $25 or 250 bucks, and Susan would have 10 matching bonuses of 25. I'm sorry, 10. She would have 10 matching bonuses. I'm sorry. That is 25, $40, 25, and Susan's matching bonus is 4% of that $25. Okay, 4% of the 25 bucks, and she would earn on generation one, it is 20%, and on generation one, it is 20%, and then it is 4% on generation two and ongoing. Let me validate that. Let me make sure I didn't just make a mistake. Let me make sure I did not make a mistake. Excuse me, there is no 20% match on the matching bonus. It is 4%. And so Susan earns $25 in a matching bonus. It's $25 in an acquisition bonus. I will earn 4% of 25. 4% of 25 is what? It's a buck. That's what it'll be, month after month after month. That's what it'll be. Up here, 4% of 99, or excuse me, 4% of 50. And what is that going to be? That's going to be $2, basically. That's what that's going to be. And so I'll receive a matching bonus for every enrollment that she does. Next, what happens? Susan will receive a team commission. Every month, she'll receive a team commission. And because I am her enroller, I'll receive a matching bonus of whatever her team commission is. And so if Susan's team commission, let's say that she does $10,000 in volume and that she makes 20% on Gen 1 and 4% on the others, that would add up to about a $600 a month commission check. That's about what it would be. And I would get 4% matching bonus on that, or 25. Susan earns an infinity bonus. Her infinity bonus will be larger than her unilevel bonus. It will be, you watch. Her infinity bonus will be larger because there'll be so many people who join quickly. There'll be a lot of volume and depth. Susan will qualify at the top of the plan. Most people will not qualify at the top of the plan. And so she will get paid in more and more and more and more and more depth. Susan gets a $1,000 infinity payout. I brought her to the party. I get a 4% matching bonus. 4% of that 1,000 is $40. Now, those matching bonuses that I described, $1 when somebody has an acquisition bonus, or $2, making these small percentages, it doesn't seem like a big deal, does it? Except, once again, I want to talk about your results, not mine. I want to talk about what you accomplish. But Samantha and I have enrolled 124 people. And those 124 people, they all want to make money. You see 124 people who are making money. That will create pretty meaningful matching bonuses. But now let's extend that a little bit. It's a 4-generation matching bonus. So I enroll Susan, and Susan enrolls Tom. When Tom earns any of those commission percentages, that's my second generation. I earn a matching bonus. Tom enrolls Jim. Jim earns any of those commissions. I earn a matching bonus. Think of the leverage, folks. Remember, twice as many people on generation 2 as Gen 1, twice as many on Gen 3 as Gen 2, twice as many as Gen 4. So if I have 120 first generation matching bonuses, that says that in all likelihood, I'll have something more than 500 matching bonuses on generation 4. See, those numbers become very, very meaningful very quickly. They will ultimately produce the largest checks in our compensation plan. We need to stop comparing this to anything else we've done in network marketing, because we're not limited to the 3 or 4 or 5% of the population who want to use a network marketing company's product. It is the entire world. Becoming an aggressive enroller, don't misunderstand, folks. If you want this to be an absolute stunning, you cannot believe the results, break the bank financial outcome, learn how to become a prolific enroller so that you have two possibilities. If you become a prolific enroller, you can teach others how to do likewise. When you teach others how to do likewise, they will qualify 5 legs, but they will then begin holding more people on Gen 1. That will hold way, way, way more volume close to you in payout. It'll hold volume close to you in payout. Become a prolific enroller. You'll be able to qualify for the plan and then be able to hold others at that 20% payout. Next, race through the compensation plan. Don't walk through it, race through it so that no money falls out of the unilevel and you're not eligible to receive that money in infinity payouts. Next, race towards the profitability of other people. The most important thing we can possibly do is have increasing amounts of our income be predicated upon the income successes of others. We have now described the compensation plan in its totality. Once again, how does it work? Somebody spends $19, that is not commissionable. They buy a $49 package, we make 50% of that, 25. They buy a $99 package, we make 50% of that, 50. On ongoing future months, anyone that is on generation 1, we make 20%. Anyone on generation 2 through 8, if we have met those minimum requirements, we will get paid 4% through those generations, and that 4% will continue indefinitely until it intersects someone else at your rank or higher. You'll get 8 generations no matter what. But if we get to the bottom of the 8 generations and someone is not at or above your rank, the payout simply continues. That's what solidifies every leg. It is a beautiful compensation plan mechanism. Anyone who earns a direct sales commission, you'll earn a matching bonus. Anyone who earns a team commission, you'll earn a matching bonus. Anyone who earns an infinity payout, you will earn a matching bonus. That's the compensation plan in its totality. Candidly, it is, even though I stumbled on a couple of pieces because it's the very first time I've ever taught it. I promise you it won't be very many times that I have to look at the document to get it right, but I've just taught you the entire compensation plan. This is extraordinarily easy to understand. After you just watch this presentation 2 times, 3 times, you teach it once or twice, you will know it and you will own it. Now, Susan, did I confuse you to death? And I apologize, I tried to talk slow. I know that many of your counterparts have Chinese as the first language, not English, and it's hard for me. I try. What are your questions? What if I've caused any confusion? I want to clarify it. Anything I said that you don't understand, I would like to clarify that for you. So what question, if any, do you have? And in fact, Larry Lane, if you're still there, I'm going to upgrade you as well, because I would love, Larry, also to hear if you have questions, comments, things that you would like clarification on. Let me see if I can find Larry here. Oh my gosh, looks like I've lost Larry. Okay, can't bring Larry in. My apologies. Looks like I had to go somewhere. So would you please, Susan, just unmute your mic and tell me if you have questions or if I've caused confusion that we can clarify. Oops, I'm going to click on this next. Oops, you're still muted. I'm going to ask to unmute. There we go. Oops, still muted. There we go.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much for the explanation. This is my first time coming across a plan like this. So most of the time we deal with binary plan, not so much unit level. So it's hard for me to really understand 100%, to be frank. And regarding the first generation downwards, what if it's not my people, it's my people, it's still counted down, is it? So,
Yes.
if I have somebody under me, under one of the 5 legs, so if I put my people down the 5 legs and go to 3rd, 4th, up to the last generation, anybody that comes in there counted as 1 generation, is it?
That is correct.
So you're trying to say that long term, this is the way to work the business, to work deep.
Yes, of course it is, because that is what creates strength in the organization.
Yeah.
That's what makes other people money. And you know that our income is only as secure as the success in our business. So yes, without question, the vast majority of us will build depth, build leadership groups in depth. When you come upon an influencer.
This is for the leaders, but for the normal people who just come in, and they want to do the business, but unlike other leaders, they don't have the capacity to really go deep. So they would prefer, instead of the difficulty of going deep, they just go straight to earn the 50% acquisition bonus. So that means
50%
there's
acquisition
nobody
bonus.
down them.
Correct.
Unless I start to put people down.
If
Because
they're not,
if
that's
I
right.
don't start put down my first level, I won't get a first level or second level, right?
That's correct. That is correct. And so what you just said, they should earn the acquisition bonus. And if they do enroll someone, remember, a lot of people are not going to enroll others. They're going to use the product themselves and not enroll others. Some will.
Yeah.
Those who are only going to enroll one or two, well, that's not depth. That's first generation. And those who are looking principally for customers, they might as well hold them all on generation one. If they're not going to build teams, then they can just hold them on generation one. Make the 20%. That holds that volume closer to you. The thing that I like about it, Susan, is that there's nothing anyone can do for their benefit that hurts you. Anything that I do is beneficial to another. If I hold volume close to me, that's beneficial to my upline. If I work in depth, that's beneficial to my upline. And so it's just a really good plan.
Yeah. So you see, I may not find the correct leader in my first 5. So
Right.
if sometimes you don't know whether a person is a leader or not leader, you see. So a person who's not a leader also can be a leader. So when I recruit my people, do I put a 5 spot whoever they are, or choose the right person whom I think will want to work deep? But once I fill the 5 spot, on the 6th spot onwards, I may have a true leader coming up. How? So put them underneath.
Yeah, but here's my thought. And once again, remember that this is brand new, and I'm telling you my thoughts before the company even goes live. I'm telling you my thoughts that result from looking at the comp plan document, but those thoughts may very well change as we start seeing the way that it actually pays out. We see where the numbers go. So I'm teaching you what I believe is correct today. I'll teach it again after we've been live for a month and we have actual numbers and we know what produces the greatest outcome. But now, in the example that Susan just gave, Susan said, what if? So here is Susan, and we know that Susan's going to go to the top of the plan, and we know then that she's going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 legs that are going to have $20,000 each. We know that. What if she enrolled this one and she thought this one was going to do something, and he or she just doesn't? Well, you have two choices. You can simply start a new leg, but there's also no penalty. Let's say that you find your next true leader. You can enroll that true leader and put them here. Because if this one doesn't do anything, this one simply compresses up into that generation. And so it doesn't have to be that the one that you enroll is there. If that one does nothing, this one compresses up to that 20%. And so you have two choices. You can place it down line of an existing leg in the hopes of inspiring and provoking greater activity, or you could simply start another leg. And that depends a little bit on personalities and what feels right to you. But once again, what I've taught today is the way that I see the plan, having read the document and compared it to my career experience. 3 weeks from now, after we've received our first commission checks and we see the way that it actually pays out, I'm completely confident that I'll teach it again. And I may have a little bit different points of emphasis because we really understand the plan when we get paid in the plan. We can anticipate certain things, but until we're getting paid in the plan, we're not going to really understand the plan. So 3 or 4 weeks from now, I'll revisit this and make any points of clarification if need be.
So is there, Randy, is there any subscription monthly?
Yes, the subscription monthly. Remember, if there is no volume, there is no business. And so the subscription every month is the same as the acquisition price. And so a person who buys the starter pack gets $49 and $49 per month. That is the ongoing monthly payment. And that's what produces the volume that generates your commissions.
Okay.
Okay. This all makes sense?
Yeah. So the best thing to do is put 5 and then put the rest under them, because you never know who's going to be a leader. It can be first generation, second or third. So once
That is
somebody
correct.
on the third generation is a true leader, keep sponsoring a lot of people, will he stay at generation 3 or push up to generation 1?
If the other two are not active, it'll push up to generation 1.
Or if they are active,
if they pay their subscription,
then it will remain. If they're not so active, maybe they have 1 or 2 person coming in, maybe
right.
on down them, there will be maybe 2 or 3 people, and then the next person become active. That will be my 4th generation, is it? So the inactive one, you don't get anything.
And every active subscription is a generation. If someone is not active, then it will compress up to fill it. So there's no chance to have an inactive generation. You're going to have activity all the way down. If it takes 30 down to have 8 that are active.
That means not active means not paying their subscription.
That is correct.
But once you do the business, of course, you will pay for the subscription.
Hopefully.
Isn't it?
Yes,
Either
of course,
you join with the subscription or you don't join at all.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So, Susan, what I suggest, and I know I talk fast, I tried to talk slow. In the next 2 or 3 days, watch this thing a couple of times. Make notes about your questions, and then let's revisit it. Let's come back into a Zoom room. And what will really make it all immediately make sense when we receive our first commission checks. That's when it will all make sense. Between now and then, it's going to be a little bit vague. But when you receive the first commission checks, it'll become very, very, very clear.
Yeah, but I think for the next week or so, I've got to concentrate on getting people in rather than understanding the plan.
Of course,
get the people
absolutely,
in first.
absolutely, especially
get the people in first.
Especially Susan,
you cannot understand 100%.
Yeah, and here's the great news.
Yeah.
You don't have to understand the plan because I do, and I won't let you make a mistake. I promise you I won't. My entire objective is for you and your people to make money. I won't let you make a mistake. If I see strategy not working right, I'll say, hey, Susan, this doesn't make sense. Right.
Okay.
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 All right. Thank you so much. Watch this a couple of times. Let me know your questions. We'll clarify. But what you said was the most intelligent thing. Focus on building the business. Don't worry about the comp plan. The comp plan is going to pay you. The comp plan is going to pay you just fine. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.